Newsflash: Hot Toys just dropped another insane figure. Should you buy it, or should you risk missing out on it forever? Today, I'll break down when it's smart to pre-order a hot toy, when to wait, and what strategies can save you hundreds in the long run. But before we get started, make sure to like the video, click that subscribe button down below, and also click that notification bell so you're notified when content like this goes live here. You won't want to miss it, I promise you. That said, let's discuss the occasionally complex Hot Toys pre-ordering process and how to maneuver it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video today, and today we are going to detail the Hot Toys pre-ordering process and best strategies for success. So to start, what does the pre-ordering process actually look like? Hot Toys posts an announcement on social media, typically their Facebook and Instagram pages, about the production of a figure that is now being put up for pre-order that you can order at your favorite retailer. More on that later. Generally, you wait about 6 to 18 months for fulfillment. Some figures take a little bit longer, but most figures are pretty fast in about 1.5 to 2 years. Some figures do take longer, some are shorter. Some are ready to go in a month or less, depending upon your geographic location. When you pre-order a Hot Toys figure, you're required to put down an NRD, referred to as a non-refundable deposit. This is a fee that you will not get back if you cancel, unless the figure gets delayed, but there are some exceptions here and there generally. There are many verifiably great places to purchase Hot Toys collectibles. I have a video linked in the description below that will detail some of the best, so if you're interested in that, make sure to check that out after you're done here. We need to ask ourselves this question: what are the actual tangible benefits of pre-ordering a Hot Toys collectible figure? I'm glad you asked. Knowing that peace of mind and security is present, that you bought a figure that you really want and you paid for that damn thing, and it's gonna show up at your doorstep from UPS or FedEx or wherever, and you can live the rest of your life stress-free, not having to worry about, I'm gonna have to fight someone on the aftermarket, I'm gonna have to fight a bitch for this. You really don't. It's gonna come to you, and it's gonna be great. Although I generally avoid payment plans are a very valuable tool for a lot of Hot Toys collectors. And the fact that you can do them only through pre-orders is another incentive to click that button and pre-order a figure that you really want. Pre-ordering a figure allows you to pay it off over time and not put so much strain on your budget in such an immediate way. And that is certainly a benefit. By the day, the number of Hot Toys figures that are exclusive in some way, shape, or form is increasing dramatically. And because of this, pre-ordering is becoming more and more incentivized, whether it be an exclusive accessory or an artisan edition version, for example, that is very limited and rare and special that you have to be online at the time of drop to pre-order, or you're just not getting that thing unless you're willing to pay 1.5 to 2 times price. The number of figures that are exclusive in some way, shape, or form is dramatically increasing, and this is incentivizing pre-orders in a way that a lot of us didn't anticipate. Hot Toys is reacting to the market strongly and trying to bring value back to their brand, which I think is a really great thing. Let's talk about some of the cons of pre-ordering Hot Toys collectibles. Well, the first being the long wait. And I do recognize that you're going to wait for the figure if you want it regardless. Until it releases, you're not going to have it in your collection space. But it's a little bit of a different experience to put down 10 to 20% of the figure's overall cost and just kind of sit there twiddling your thumbs for 1.5 to 2 years, just waiting for it to arrive at your door. Another con of pre-ordering is the uncertainty of the final product. So you're putting down 10 to 20% of the overall cost of the figure, hoping that it's going to look exactly like the prototype. In most cases, it does not. Sometimes it's even better than the prototype, but in most cases, an acceptable range of outcome is anywhere from 5 to 10% decline from the original prototype. That's pretty good. But sometimes the final product can look worse than that. And now you're out 10 to 20% because there is language in the product description saying this product could vary in its final product form, and you have to be okay with that. The next question we need to ask ourselves is, when do you actually pre-order a Hot Toys figure? I think there are several situations where pre-ordering is essential. The first being an exclusive or highly limited figure. The best example is the Hot Toys Artisan line. These figures have a set edition size, usually around 2,000 to 5,000 units, and that is truly not a lot of worldwide units. So due to that reason, when these figures go live for pre-order, you have to be online in the queue ready to pre-order because you are not going to be readily available to buy these things in the aftermarket in most cases. Right now, these things are going for well above their retail value, and because of that, it's much safer to lock in a pre-order if you know you want that figure. Now, this doesn't mean that you should FOMO buy and just buy something because you have a fear of missing out, but if you know you want that character and it's limited like that, you don't have time to dilly-dally. This is an individual determination that is very difficult to actually determine, but I think if you are 100% committed to an actual character or line, then you have to place that pre-order and secure your copy before it's too late. Now we need to ask ourselves, when is it better to wait and not pre-order a Hot Toys figure? Well, I guess you could argue for super popular characters like Iron Man or Spider-Man or Darth Vader, where the figure is not exclusive in some way. You could generally wait if you want to sit on the decision a little bit longer, but I still would recommend putting that pre-order in if you're pretty positive that you're going to want that figure in your collection. But those type of characters have so many versions that you could end up getting another version and being just fine. But if that specific representation is the one that you need, I would still pre-order it. Otherwise, there's probably going to be another very soon. Another example would be a prototype that is a little bit sus. Maybe by your estimation, you're looking at that prototype and saying, this is less than ideal. I don't feel good with where this figure is at in the prototype stage. You could put an NRD down and hope that Hot Toys improves it, but in many cases, Hot Toys figures decline rather than improve. So I think this is one of those situations where you need to be a little bit cautious and make sure you're happy with how that figure looks in those photos before you jump in. There is a common misconception that collectors can wait longer for low demand characters, maybe like a Sacy Tin or Kit Fisto, characters that are not Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader or Luke or something like that, that you can wait a little bit longer on those because people don't have as much of an urgency to purchase them. Well, what happens is Sideshow Collectibles ends up closing the pre-order window and everyone else therefore follows suit if the figure is not super popular. So because of that, that can happen earlier rather than later. So those type of characters can often require a faster pre-order rather than a slower one. I may have made that too complicated, but in simple terms, if the character is not originally popular and it comes out to be a very good figure, it can become popular if there's not a lot of units available to meet the increased demand. Let's look at some actual examples to make sense of what we talked about. A good example that's recent is the Hot Toys Feral Predator. This was a figure that did not have a seamless torso when it was originally announced, and Hot Toys decided to update it, but by that point, it was almost too late for collectors to pre-order. So it's one of those cases where sometimes you have to jump in and make a determination relatively quickly if you're interested in that character, because now that figure is going for above retail. So if you want one, the price is only going to climb moving forward. A different type of example would be the Hot Toys Rise of Skywalker Kylo Ren. That's a figure that collectors who enjoy Kylo Ren pre-ordered, and that's one that you could get on heavy discount these days. As I mentioned, there's always the possibility of a reissue. You have a Mark 46, for example, that has a Civil War new base and is generally a much better figure than the original version. So if you bought that original version, you might feel a little bit disappointed that a new and improved version came out not much longer. What about Chrome Mando versus the original Beskar Mando? That's another example where if you pre-order the original, you're kind of upset. So what is my personal pre-ordering strategy? Well, I generally view things through two lenses. I look at my personal collection and what I want as a Hot Toys collector, and then I also look at it from a content creation standpoint and what audience members are going to want to see. If I'm removing that second part and saying just a Hot Toys collection, what am I going to pre-order? I am only pre-ordering the figures that I feel are absolutely integral to my display. Figures that I feel need to be there, that I cannot live without, so I don't wreck my budget and stress myself out in a hobby that should be about everything but that. The figures that you should pre-order quickly are the ones that you see announced and you look at those photos and you say, yes, that one. That's the one that I need in my collection. Those are the ones that you should jump on and be ready to commit to. Other than that, take your time. There are always going to be 2.0s, reissues, or other factors that influence whether that figure belongs in your collection. But I think it's important to ask yourself right now, based on the current circumstances, is this integral to my display? I would absolutely recommend setting an annual figure budget so you know your pre-orders are not going to get out of hand. I've told this story before, but I at one point had $15,000 in pre-orders when I first started Hot Toys collecting because I was not tracking my purchases. I was not tracking how reckless I was being, and it ended up biting me in the ass and resulting in a lot of canceled figures that made me eat NRDs. Pre-ordering is a transactional contract. You are agreeing to pay for that figure, and you're doing so by showing good faith and putting 10 to 20% down in a non-refundable deposit that you are then being able to put towards the figure, but still, it's not to be taken lightly. This is a process that really requires a lot of thought and consideration, so you don't get in over your head and make decisions that make collecting more stressful than fun. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to drop me a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you're notified when content goes live here. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of my ideas, and of course, let me know what figure you're considering pre-ordering and whether you're actually having to go back and forth on it. Sometimes there is a figure that you just can't decide on, but let me know if any of the things I discussed in this video are going to help you make your decision with that figure. Guys, thank you so much. I love you and appreciate you as always. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out. See you later. Bye.
Bye.